Soulmate with Brian. Hey guys, my name is Brian Kim and welcome to Soulmate with Brian, episode 2. Let's get it! I'm so excited to introduce our new guest, our second guest of our show. Her name is Tina Kim. She is from New Zealand and she has a passion for worship, for God. And we're excited to have her here on our show today. Let's give it up for Tina Kim. Hello.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tina, and I'm so blessed to be here today on Brian's second episode.
Awesome. Tina, well, there's a lot of topics that I want to get into today with you. First of all, it's great that we can converse in English.
Yeah.
In Korea. It's very unique, right?
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been able to do this kind of thing.
Right, in South Korea.
Yeah.
It's great to have you today because you're also a musician like myself, a worship leader like myself, but also from outside of Korea, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and and how you were growing up? Just tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, so I was born in Korea.
Oh, you were born in Korea?
Yeah, I was born
Me
in
too.
Korea. You too.
Yes.
Yeah, but I went to New Zealand with my family. I immigrated to New Zealand with my family when I was 5 years old.
4 years
Yeah.
old.
Wow, we have a lot of similarities.
Yeah, except age difference. But yeah, that's great. So you went to New Zealand when you were 5 with your family?
And it's actually only been about 3 years since I came to Korea.
I see.
Yeah, and it was a very a special coincidence almost that I came and came
South Korea?
came and actually stay long term. It was not in my plan to do so.
I see.
Yeah, originally. Yeah, but that happened.
So how were you growing up in New Zealand as a Korean immigrant, when you were young, from 5 till, up until 3 years ago? How was it to, adjust to the culture, Were there a lot of other Asians and Koreans there when you were growing up?
There is a big Korean community, but not as much when I first went to New Zealand. I think more than me, my parents would have had a much difficult time trying to break the cultural and language barriers that they had to face while they were there. So I'm very thankful for them. Yeah. For me, it was not. I didn't feel like I had to face a huge challenge growing up in New Zealand. I was very loved by the community, at school. I major studied in performance piano, so I studied music, and I had a great time.
But did you ever feel like, should I ever visit Korea or go back to Korea, or did you feel like you fit right in New Zealand?
Well, for me, my image of Korea while I was living in New Zealand was not a very positive one.
Oh, why not? Yeah, tell us about that.
I don't know. I don't
Korean
know
dramas?
how. Yeah, probably things I heard, things I've seen. I'm not sure, but I had this image of if I think of Korea, then it was busy.
빨리빨리.
Yeah, 빨리빨리.
Yeah.
And
Fast. Everything's fast.
what's 미세먼지 in English?
미세먼지 is 미세 dust. I don't know. Yellow dust, maybe, right?
Micro dust, bad environment.
Right.
And I was always surprised by the news when I see the Korean news. Oh my gosh, how do people live where they have to wear a mask
Yeah.
to go out?
This is pre-COVID, right?
Yeah, this was pre-COVID, but here I am, wearing a mask every day.
Right.
And so,
Okay, speaking Korean. It's okay. Korean, English, anything you want.
Okay. Yeah. Now this, after 3 years, this place feels more like home. I came to Korea because of this reason, and it was because I visited North Korea. I had a chance to visit North Korea.
Oh, really? How?
About 2 years ago. In New Zealand, I had co-founded a social organization, an NGO called
NGO?
Reconnect.
평양을 다녀왔죠 우리가.
NK.
North Korea.
We were made up of mostly Korean New Zealanders.
Okay.
So it was people like me, like a 1.5 generation
Right.
kids. And we tried to be, or we wanted to be, the platform or the bridge makers for Korean community to reach out to less privileged or people who in need in
Yes.
New Zealand. So
That's how you started.
yeah, that's how my heart started. Of like, I was doing music, but I had this passion to want to do something more active for people in need,
Right.
more doing things other than music, other than
Right.
art.
A higher purpose.
Yeah, I had that kind of passion. So that's why I started Reconnect. And that's how I got connected to an NGO in North Korea.
Wow.
And this pastor that we met that was from Korea just suggested, oh, would you like to go to North Korea? Since you're a New Zealand citizen, it's not a problem for you to go.
Right.
I'll connect you to this NGO. And we were like, oh yeah, definitely. I definitely want to go because, you know, when would we get a chance to
Right.
go to that country? And I was, at that time, I was kind of really pondering on my identity as a Korean New Zealander, but on this Korean side, like why God called me to be a Korean New Zealander. Why am
Right.
I living in New Zealand? And, you know, every day at church, because I went to a Korean church when I was in New Zealand, but the church would pray for Korea. The church would pray for the Korean churches and all these political, social issues about Korea. But I would not be able to connect with that. I didn't understand why I had to pray for Korea.
Right.
And even if I tried, I wasn't really like mourning for these people or hurt, like Nehemiah.
Right. Nehemiah.
Like,
Right.
I wanted to be like him, but like I
Wow.
didn't know how. You know, I didn't have that love for this country.
Right. The motherland.
Yeah.
The connection. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So that's when I started to really ponder, oh, like, God, if you really want me to love this country, like, you know, like give me your heart, and I want to know more of your heart. If there is this purpose or this calling as my identity as a Korean New Zealander, I started really asking God for that.
And at that time, you had an opportunity to go to North Korea, right?
So it just opened a whole another perspective. It opened up a very wider perspective for me, and it actually really changed my life because that's kind of why I decided to stay in Korea longer, because I wanted to learn more about this country, this, not just North Korea, but just Korea,
Right.
the Korean peninsula, and this divided country. Like, I just wanted to be in this, be with whatever God's doing in this
Awesome.
place, whether it's North Korea or Korea.
Right.
I felt like, oh, there is something as a diaspora, because we can go into this country and we can connect with these people that are inside, whereas other Korean people
Cannot, right.
cannot, even if they want to.
Right.
So it's a privilege for us that we can go in, you know? So that was what really just got me to stay in Korea and just network with a lot of different organizations related to North Korea. So that's why I actually initially came to Korea.
South Korea 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. So how has it been? The last 3 years. So you were in New Zealand from 5 till grown up, and then you went to North Korea, and then after that you came to South Korea 3 years ago. And the last 3 years in South Korea, now as an insider, now living in the city. You live in
Yeah.
Hongdae, right? Or Hongdae, right?
I live near Hongdae.
Yeah, Hongdae is where the bright lights are. And a lot of the music scene, the college scene is right there, in the
Yeah.
heart of Seoul. How has it been these last 3 years? I know there's a lot to talk about, but what are some certain takeaways from these last 3 years in Korea?
Let me think.
What have you learned, that you didn't know before? What have you enjoyed? What have you been blessed by?
Well,
짜장면?
the 배달 문화, the delivery culture
Let's talk about
here.
that. This is a Soulmate with Brian Kim. We're going to talk about soul food. Soul food. Tell our viewers from all over the world, our 배달 문화, our delivery food service. Soulmate with Brian. Subscribe, click the bell button, and leave a comment below. And all will see